Mike in New Haven. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up, Mike? Quick thing before I get into my point. Geesh, what does my school have to do to get down there to the studios? But anyway.
I have to come to the studio. I mean, their whole school showed up in the control room. I mean, they were in the hall, so I invited them into the studio.
Geesh,
what school is that?
East Rock in New Haven. It's a middle school.
East Rock or what?
In New Haven, in East Rock Magnet School in New Haven, Connecticut.
Well, what grade is it?
Well, it goes from pre-K to 8, and I'm in 8 right now.
You're in 8th grade?
Yeah.
You sound older than 8th grade.
Hey, well, I'm 14 years old, but, I'm a big fan of the show. But this is what I wanted to say.
Don't you have school today?
I got out at 2 o'clock.
All right. 2 o'clock, man. I wish I used to get out at 2 o'clock. I used to get out at like 3:30. What about 2? What's this 2 o'clock stuff?
8 to 2, and yeah, well.
8 to 2?
Yeah.
Are you keeping bankers hours?
Oh, jeez. More homework, though, so it's not as good as you think.
Oh, come on now.
But let me tell you this about the NBA Mount Rushmore. Listen, as far as the 3 spots of Kareem, Wilt, and Bill, untouchable. But Michael Jordan's spot, what about taking him out and putting Jerry West?
Stop, Mike. Stop. Okay, you're not taking Jordan off anything. Colin in Wyckoff, what's up, Colin?
Mike in New Haven, go ahead, Mike.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Good.
I wanted to talk about the Mets. I never got to this point last week, but I don't know if you heard about it. They, a man that bought this jersey from the Mets sold the Mike Piazza jersey that he wore 10 days after the Twin Towers fell. And in my opinion, it's not a very smart thing to do, and it's just, in my opinion, a classless thing to do. It's a jersey with so much symbolism, and when you go into the Met offices, it should be one of the first things you see. I'm not even a Met fan, but it was such an important occasion that day that it just really makes no sense as to why the Mets sold it for utterly nothing in the first place. So what's your take on it? I don't know if you heard about it.
Anything about the jersey, I don't care about memorabilia.
But it's important, Mike. I mean, they shouldn't have done that.
Conversation about memorabilia is utter nonsense.
All right, I'll get to Jay right now. Before you go, hang on.
That day is anybody was there or watched the game know what kind of moment it was. You don't need the shirt on Piazza's back to remember what kind of moment it was. Memorabilia, game used, whatever, is such utter nonsense.
All right, I'll get to
make anybody taking the time to and not just you, but people take editorials to write about jerseys. I mean, give me a break.
All right.
He cares. You're telling me it changes history or changes?
No, of course not.
Based on where his shirt is?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I just wanted to.
And this isn't just for you. This is for the other people who have also made this about his jersey.
I understand.
Where his jersey
Rests is not that important. We're not talking about the American flag here, okay?
Oh, dude. Okay, chill.
Stop it. Mike, I don't like this dude stuff. It bothers me, so don't call me dude, okay? I'm not your dude. Mike in New Haven, what's up, Mike?
Hey, bro, how you doing?
Hey, what?
Bro.
Goodbye. Grow up, Mike, please. I'm not your bro. I mean, the kid's 12 years old. I let him call because he's 15 years old. I mean, come on. Tell him to smarten up, please. All right? I'm not his bro. I mean, come on now. He's 15 years old. I mean, I let him call because he's a nice kid, but come on now. Tell him to grow up.
I was at my son's graduation in Syracuse this weekend. Real quick, regarding the Preakness this weekend, I'm so excited about Norringquist at 9 to 1 odds out of the Norring's gate. Have you ever listened to a...
That's we all know that he won't be 9 to 1, so we know that call's a phony from the start. Mike in New Haven, what's up, Mike?
Yeah, I love Sour Shoes. He is awesome.
Be quiet. You know what? I don't need you either. Mike in New Haven, what's up, Mike?
Well, let's go into 2 points here. One on Bonds, one on LBJ. LBJ, quite the prima donna for all his talents on the court. He is just as big.
Who are we talking about now?
Huh?
What player are we talking about?
LeBron first, and then.
I thought to me LBJ is Lyndon Baines Johnson. I mean LBJ is not LeBron James. So LeBron James is LeBron. So
we're in 2 different eras, man.
No, we're not. Nobody calls him LBJ. I mean nobody calls LeBron LBJ. They call him LeBron. No one calls him LBJ. So go ahead.
Different generations.
No, it's not nonsense, Mike. It's not true.
All right.
No one calls him. I've never heard anybody call him LBJ.
All right, dude. I'm going to just get into my
Mike,
point.
don't give me dude. I don't want to hear dude. I mean, just, listen, just go, okay? But don't create your own names and expect people to think that they're the norm. That's not the norm.
All right, man. I'm going to get into LBJ now.
Oh, here we go, LBJ again. Okay, you can't say LeBron, can you?
LeBron. There you go. There you have it.
Okay, so now give me your big LeBron point.
He is just. He has his coach running scared here. Tyronn Lue is.
It's one of his best friends. You realize that, right?
I understand.
That's why he has the job. So I doubt he's running
good
scared.
They're not on good terms at the moment here because of the fact that the biggest crime that Lue committed was this, just going up to LeBron and saying, be careful with your interactions with your former teammates. And plus, LeBron...
Well, how do you know he did that?
An article.
So it doesn't mean it happened.
It does mean it happened.
No, it doesn't.
Cleveland.com. It's Tyronn Lue's own words.
No, it doesn't mean that it happened. You don't know what their conversations are. You know what their conversations are between LeBron and Tyronn Lue. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't know what their conversations are. So don't act like it's gospel. Here's the problem. Tyronn Lue doesn't have that job unless LeBron James wants him to have that job. That's the bottom line of the job. That's Tyronn Lue's problem. His problem is he is not a real coach because he was given the job by the player. That's the problem. So he doesn't have firm footing as a coach because he was not selected as a coach. He was picked by the star player who's his buddy. So that's the relationship. The problem there is LeBron James has been all over the second unit and all over the other star players because he doesn't think they play the way he wants them to play, except the problem is he put the roster together. So he's all over Irving because he doesn't like the fact that other point guards have been going off on the Cleveland Cavaliers. So he's all over Irving. Well, you know what? You're the one who wanted this team built this way. And he's all over Love. And you know what? You're the one who traded for Love. And you're the one who had to have certain guys on that second unit, and you wasted the money to put those guys and built the worst second unit in the world. You know, every night, if you look at the Cleveland Cavalier game, they go out to a big lead in the first quarter. They rest LeBron in the second quarter. They give up the entire lead. They did it again last night against Milwaukee. They got out to a huge lead in the first quarter, and Milwaukee took the lead in the second quarter. The other night in the Denver game, they got out 32-10 on Denver, and Denver then ran off 19 straight points when LeBron was out of the game. He hasn't completely, if you listen to anybody who covers that team, he has a completely ineffective second unit now. But he created it. And here's the deal with LeBron. He can't get away with leaving Cleveland. This idea that he leaves Cleveland, if he thought it was bad the first time he left Cleveland, if he leaves Cleveland now and runs out of there because he made a mess of Cleveland, people who want to get on him are never going to get off because he went back there because he had a score to settle. He had a bond and a debt that had to be fulfilled. So I'm going back. So you went back. And you know what? The people who were okay with LeBron said, okay, we'll buy this. You went back. You were haunted with the fact you didn't win them their championship. You went back. You can't bolt out of there now and go to a cushy spot. Because any championship you win, the next spot, it's going to be, LeBron went and found the softer spot. You went there. The problem LeBron's made, and this is the problem with the franchise, is you sell your soul to him when you get him back. He's allowed to do whatever he wants. In Miami, he had a player he respected, and he had a executive he respected who could tell him, no, we're not doing this. No, we're not getting this player. And yeah, they knuckled under him on certain players, and they knuckled under him on certain things, but they didn't knuckle under him to everything. They didn't give him everything he wanted as a whim. If you do that, you have no chance of being successful because there's days where he's just going to get angry and then he's going to want something. You can't change the players when you have a slump and then change them again when you have another slump. You got to understand what works and what doesn't work. And he needs what he doesn't have is he doesn't have a strong basketball guy to work with him and tell him no. When Jordan got on the players, Jordan never tried to cut the roster. Did he get on the players? Absolutely. Did he coach the team sometimes? Yes. I used to sit there. You know, I've made this comment before. Right near there, I used to love to sit right near their bench when they'd come to the Garden. And Jordan would be like, Get him off the floor. He hasn't made a rebound in 5 minutes to one of the big guys. Get him off the floor. And then fill it substitute. Get him right off the floor. Get this guy out of here. He hasn't done anything for blah, blah, blah. He hasn't covered anybody in 5 minutes. Get him off the floor. And he just yell at the bench. And they'd make changes. But he didn't try to cut the roster. He didn't try to bring in the players. He made the players tougher in practice. He made them work harder. Absolutely. He made Pippen tougher. Absolutely. That's all true. He demanded a lot from him. Yes, but he didn't try to cut the roster. LeBron's tried to cut the roster, and it hasn't worked. LeBron's tried to pick the coach. It hasn't worked. He's farther away from winning a championship now than he was when he got there. Now, he can get to the finals by himself. We know that. We've seen that. He's done it a couple of times in his life. He did it last year. He did it the year they lost to the Spurs. He took the worst team. All you know is he left that team, and that team lost 62 games the year after he left. He took that team to the finals. He's taken a couple of rotten teams to the finals, and he's lost finals. It's been a miracle he ever took them to the finals. They're terrible teams. But then you run into a decent team or a good team in the finals, and you lose. Should he have won one more in Miami? Yes, he should have won one more. I can't give him 4 for 4, but he should have been 3 for 4 instead of 2 for 4. But 2 for 4 is good. I mean, it's not bad. But he would have liked 3 for 4. But he needs to win one in Cleveland. Otherwise, I think he's got a void in his career he can never fill. Because he made that really job one for him in his career. He made that important. I am going to bring this area a championship. He needs to do that now at any cost. And I think the biggest thing he needs to do this offseason is figure out a way to find a coach or an executive that he believes in and let the man build a roster for him. Mike in New Haven, what's up, Mike?
Well, that was a nice little rant, and it's true. I mean, listen, you've been on...
Mike, go, make your point. I don't need you to now go through echo what I just said. I did it already. You don't need to do that. Go ahead.
I'm not going to echo. I'm just going to say it was a good rant. But before I
Thanks. Jeez, now you made my day. Go ahead. What's up?
Okay. You keep saying, before I get to my Yankee point, that Bonds was regularly walked intentionally with the bases loaded.
No, he wasn't regularly walked. I was making it. Listen, I was stressing, but the man got 120 intentional passes. You don't think the year was special, Mike?
I understand.
How many players got 120 intentional walks in a season?
I understand.
How many players do you know in history of baseball ever got 50 intentional walks in a season?
I'm saying he was only walked.
Again, I know how many times he was walked. You know what, Mike? You annoy me. Goodbye. Milford, I understand he was not walked a lot with the bases loaded. I was being dramatic. My God, you guys are so literal about stuff. It's unbelievable. I was making a point about his season. So I said he was walked more than once with the bases loaded, and he was only walked this many times. Who cares? You guys, you know what? You're nerds. That's what you are. I mean, it's ridiculous. The man got 120 intentional passes. The guy had an on-base percentage of .609. Do you understand the magnitude of his season? That's the point.
All right.
Just to clear this up so that no one else calls with it and gets yelled at. And I said the other day when I was illustrating Bonds' incredible seasons that he was walked in multiple times that year with the bases loaded. He was not. He was only walked once with the bases loaded. There have only been 6 times in baseball history, someone sent it to me, where a guy's been walked with the bases loaded. The only other modern player is Josh Hamilton, and he was only walked with the bases loaded once that year. But he was walked 100, just to give you an idea, he was walked 120 times intentionally. And the highest number before that ever, other than him, was Willie McCovey, and that was 40. So just to show you how much different it was. It's amazing that Willie McCovey, who was a very dangerous hitter, I don't know if people would have picked Willie McCovey, but Willie McCovey was an incredibly dangerous hitter, late 60s, early 70s, Giants. The Giants had Cepeda and McCovey. McCovey came up, and Cepeda was at first, and Cepeda was an enormously good player. But they traded Cepeda to the Cardinals. He went off and won an MVP with the Cardinals because they were trying to make a place for McCovey to play first base because McCovey couldn't run. He couldn't play in the outfield. They needed to get his bat in the lineup. So they traded Cepeda to the Cardinals. for Ray Sadecki, and he won an MVP his first year there. He was a really wonderful player at Atlanta Zapata. The Giants used to come up with incredible hitters in those days, especially outfielders. And McCovey came up as a bad outfielder, but he became the beloved figure. And I saw Willie McCovey play in person when he was in his prime at Shea Stadium. He had some of the longest home runs I ever saw, and he is the number 2 guy all time. Now, you wonder about Ruth, they didn't keep the statistic. And if you wonder about Mantle, not as high as you would think, because he was in such a good lineup. Plus, people would walk him, but they would try to they would try to walk him, but they would try to get him to nibble because he would strike out a lot. So they would not walk him as many times intentionally as you think for those 2 reasons. One, he had good guys behind him, very good lineup. A lot of times Berra, who was a great clutch hitter a lot of those years. And number 2, Maris usually batted in those years in front of Mantle, not in back. They did switch in 61 about a week into the season. Mickey went from in front of him into in back of him, which is why Roger hit all those home runs. And the great stat of all time is Roger, when he hit 61 home runs, got 0 intentional passes because he had Mickey behind him. But Mickey was not as high as you think for those reasons. One, they try to nibble and see if he could swing at some bad pitches. And 2, there were just too many good guys in their lineup to do that. So the second guy, and the second highest guy lifetime in intentional passes, is Pujols behind Bonds, but he's 400, and he has 200 and change, and Bonds has almost 700, to show you the difference. Mike in New Haven, what's up, Mike?
You brought it up in your opening, and it was exactly what I wanted to talk about. Any little hiccup, and Jerry Jones gets impetuous enough to want to rethink his plans. And even if they were able to survive Minnesota last week, it's the second straight week that you see a defense have success against their passing game. But last night, the Giants took it to another level. And the truth of the matter is this, and you know this as well as anybody. You need, in this league, a tenacious front four and a just as tenacious secondary. And the Giants, even with JPP being out, unfortunately, still have that. So my philosophy is this, and then I'll get off the phone.
What are you talking about, though? I have no idea what you're talking about. Are you talking about the Cowboys? You're talking about the Giants? Which one are you talking about?
Oh, just the game.
Well, which one are you talking about? You're talking about Jerry Jones in 1 second, then you're talking about the Giants. Are you talking about the Giants' philosophy or the Cowboys' philosophy?
I'm just covering both aspects.
All right, well, pick one, okay? So,
all right, I'm going to stick with the Giants now.
Okay.
Then I'll leave the line. But, when you look at this defense, if JPP is able to get back...
He's not coming back, okay? So you're talking 8 weeks minimum for that injury.
I thought they said 3 to 6 weeks.
No, I'm telling you, 8 weeks is what I'm hearing realistically.
Right,
so if they play in a Super Bowl, maybe he could play.
All right, well, let a kid dream for a second. If he gets
listen, don't worry about him. Let a kid dream. I mean, the bottom line is the guy last night who stepped in played great. So you know what? There's always that's the way you do this. JPP doesn't. You can't worry about him right now. He's not there.
Listen, at this rate, with the way they're playing, it should be a fun January. Listen, we'll talk later in the week. Thank you.
I mean, just listen. Dream about JPP. I hope you got better things to dream about than JPP. I mean, geez. I mean, listen. He's not there right now, so don't worry about him. And you had a night last night where they covered it very, very well. Now, as far as the Cowboys, listen, the Cowboys have a talented quarterback on the bench. So if the rookie starts to look like a rookie, they then had him sitting there, which is what the plan was all along. Now, again, in Dallas this week, those who wanted to bury Romo will be just as quick to dig him up. Mike in New Haven, what's up, Mike?
As I was listening to the show the other day, I think it was on Tuesday, you were talking about how you wouldn't give Jose Altuve the MVP because he wasn't leading the league in anything. But you'd be surprised in categories like batting average, stolen bases, and hits. You'll never guess who's number one, Altuve. And
listen, batting average and stolen bases
and hits.
First of all, again, batting average and stolen bases are meaningless statistics. On base percentage is the statistic. Is he leading the league in that?
Is he leading the league in that? Well, I guess he's not.
No, and that's the statistic because that's how many times you get on base.
Well,
right?
The sabermetric guys are going to go out there and consider him for this stuff, and I think he's worthy.
And say, well, wait a second. You know that those guys don't like stolen bases. I think you know that, right?
Well, there are certain categories that...
they don't like stolen bases. Listen, Altuve's having a good year. He's not the MVP by any stretch, the MVP.
But to consider Trumbo, Trumbo's had a good...
I didn't say Trumbo was the MVP.
Yeah, you did the other day. You were talking about...
No, I didn't. I did not. I did not. Who did I say were 1 and 2 in the MVP? If you remember. Yeah. And Carcione and Donaldson is who I said, because of what they've done so far in producing runs. Those are the guys I gave you. Caution leads the league in RBIs. Donaldson leads the league in runs scored and is coming on in RBIs. Those are the two guys that I gave you at the top right now. Caution has 86 RBIs, leads the major leagues by a wide margin. Donaldson leads the major leagues in runs scored by a wide margin.
82 to 75. I'm looking at it right now.
Well, he's got 85. Well, Altuve has 73. Okay, he's got 12 more runs scored than Altuve. 12 more. And he's got, obviously, many more RBIs than Altuve. Donaldson is making a run again at both statistics. He is making a run at the MVP. Absolutely. And Big Papi has got a chance at the MVP. As bad as that sounds to say, he has an MVP chance. Matter of fact, he might be the sentimental choice, 2375 to 326. He might be people's sentimental choice for that MVP. I think Donaldson could wind up, very close, with his numbers. He could wind up very much. And Altuve now is leading the league in on-base percentage. He's ahead of Trout right now. Well, Donaldson and he basically in Trout are basically in a flat-footed tie, the three of them, for on-base percentage. OPS, Ortiz is first. Donaldson is second. Rizzo is third. Murphy is fourth. Those are probably your four biggest MVP candidates right now. Ortiz, Donaldson, Rizzo, and Murphy. Trout's coming on. Those and Altuve is OPS this year is way up from where it's been in the past. He's in the 900s, which is very impressive for him. He's having a terrific year. This year is so much better than his other years. First of all, his batting average is up to 350, but his on-base percentage is way up because he's walking. That's really an enormous change. Mike in New Haven, what's up, Mike?
And speaking of Vin Scully, there was actually a petition a lot of people signed earlier this year wanting him to call the World Series. Now
he shouldn't be calling the World Series. He's too old. He's too old to be calling the World Series. That would be a colossal mistake. There's a lot of people not understanding the business that we're in. He does not belong doing the World Series.
And plus, he's in his late 80s.
He's not on top of his game. You do not want him doing that. He works very little. He works in a booth that's home to him. You do not want him doing that. That would not work out well.
They should not take him out of his comfort
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. He's too smart to do that anyway.
I know, but I wanted to talk to you about this Yankee rotation. You mentioning about Pineda earlier. It got me thinking about this article that Joe Sherman had in the Post the other day talking about how murky the rotation is for the future, which would lead me to this question. You're Brian Cashman. Put yourself in his shoes for a second.
Wait, just what is the question? Stop all the preambles and just ask me what the question is.
All right, you got two options. Do you want to continue with this trial by fire approach, or do you want to?
You don't have a rotation. You don't have a.
That's why they're bringing up the kids.
Well, but we don't know which ones are starters and which ones aren't. The Yankees don't have. That's why the Yankees are not a true contender, which I've been trying to tell people, because they don't have a real starting rotation. You don't know what is their rotation going to be. You have Tanaka. You don't have anybody else is going to be a fixture in your rotation next year. Not one person. The Yankees should not go out and buy any starting pitching that's on the market next year. They can trade for a starting pitcher if they have surplus in the minor leagues, especially middle infielders now. So they can maybe package a kid they like, as people like, as a shortstop, and put him in a package for a promising pitcher. You can do that. The bottom line is the Yankees need to take all of next year and use that to start to basically put together a rotation. Decide whether Severino is going to be a reliever or a starter. Decide who the guys are lining up behind Tanaka. But right now, the Yankees are going to have CC next year back, one more year. He's getting paid. He'll be in the rotation. At least to start the year. We'll see if he stays there. And to me, the Yankees will have a mediocre rotation. They'll have a good bullpen, a mediocre rotation, and a lot of new faces and a lot of kids. Let those kids develop for a year. Don't go out and spend the money on a team. Wait another year to pull the trigger on the starting rotation. And that's how it should work, because the Yankees are going to need a year to consolidate. They are not going to go from this year right to a contending status next year. There's going to be a consolidation if they try to play all these kids. You got to give Judge a year to get his feet wet, where he'll bat 220, where he'll strike out 200 times. He might hit 35 home runs. But you know what? He's got to learn. He's got to learn. Now he's going to miss the rest of the season after last night. He had a good at-bat on that walk. He really did. He showed good restraint. He had pitch recognition. He laid off the changeup. He did a good job. He actually hurt himself, though, so he's got an injury now, and he's probably done for the season. So, there's not that much time left. So you have him down. You have, obviously, Austin to deal with. You have Bird next year at first base. You have Sanchez. So, I mean, and don't think Sanchez is going to turn around and hit 50 home runs next year. He's going to have his moments where he struggles. I mean, that's just logic. It's just completely logic. So from that standpoint, you know what? You let next year be a consolidation year, and you take it from there. That's how I look at it.
Mike in New Haven. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up, Mike? I do want to talk about that national situation, but before I do, I was at the Yankee game yesterday. I got to take a tour of the field afterwards.
Yeah, Mike, no one cares. Tell me about no one cares about the Yankee game. Listen, I hate to tell you, but that's not high on our list. What else you got? Come on. I don't want to care about your tour. Go ahead. What else?
Mike in New Haven. What's up, Mike?
I was listening to your show Sunday, and you're talking about the LIE, and I can't help but ask you, why were you driving 80 in a 55?
Mike.
I heard you say that.
Mike, please. Listen. Jeez. Leave it to Mike. I got a call on the other day, folks, about the LIE, and nobody drives 55 on the LIE. Everyone drives, as 100 is the point. And that was the call I was making from California. And everyone does speed on that road. And I was speeding. I was speeding. I was probably going 75. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. There was nobody. It was 7:30 in the morning, as a matter of fact. There was nobody on the road. It was Thanksgiving morning, 7:30 in the morning. But there were cars going by me like I was standing still. I wasn't even keeping up with the traffic at 75 miles an hour. Wasn't even keeping up with the traffic. So that was the point. So everyone rides that road at a very high speed, unfortunately, and they need to cut it out. But let's not talk about that now.
Exactly. Mike in New Haven. What's up, Mike? Mike, how are you?
I will admit I was wrong the other day. I called him a flop. I got on him, and he came out. He didn't play like a lightweight. He did his thing, dropped 41.
LeBron.
I mean, LeBron. But he went out and he did his thing, so I was completely wrong about him, and let's see if they can force him.
But, Mike, don't you think that many times you've been wrong about him then? Because he's had a lot of these big-time performances in postseasons.
He really has. I mean, he's had a lot of them.
Well, sure, I was wrong about him in 2012 as well, and I was wrong about him in 2013. I'm a complete idiot that drums the gun.
And I tell you what, and now it's made Thursday night a must-see game. I mean, even if you just casually were into this series, Thursday night to me is a game you got to see, and then hopefully Game 7 after that.
You know what this mirrors, though? I tweeted this out the other day, and by the way, Evan, you should give me a follow. At MC_Mongo99. Just saying.
Wait, what is it again? Hold on, let me write this down.
Mongo99.
No, MC_Mongo99.
MC. Okay.
Let me see if you're worth a follow. I'm going to look you up right now. Go ahead.
I was tweeting this out the other day, and you know what this mirrors, Joe? And you were there, Evan, too, because you guys both saw that finals. It mirrors 1998. The Jazz beat the Bulls in Game 5, and everybody thought that the Bulls would be celebrating by the end of Game 5. Same thing with Cavs-Warriors. Now the Cavs are going back home against the game's best player, arguably, for a do-or-die Game 6, and that was the case in 1998. So I will go out on a limb, and even though I want to see a Game 7 too, I'll say Golden State closing it out.
Well, hold on a minute. You said that the Cavs are going back home to play against the game's best player, arguably? Did you say that?
Arguably.
Who is that, Steph Curry?
Arguably, yes.
He's not better than LeBron, bro. Come on. Let me stop it. I understand you don't like LeBron, but if you took Steph, here's the bottom line. Oh, hold on a minute. Here's the bottom line. You take Steph Curry off the Warriors, that team's still winning 50-something games, and they're a playoff team and a dangerous team.
No, listen,
if you take LeBron off the Cavaliers, they're the Knicks. What are they?
They're the Knicks.
I'm not saying
that's what they are. They're the Nets.
I'm not saying that LeBron is overrated or anything. I'd be the biggest fool on earth to say that. I respect his game. I got to see him live this year against my Knicks. I respect everything he's doing in his career.
Would you want him on the Knicks? Bro, you're a Knicks fan. You want him?
Of course.
Can I ask you a question, Mike?
Oh, really?
Go ahead.
So I'm looking up your Twitter account. Your profile says, and I quote, tell me if I'm correct, radio's greatest reject, Mike Francesa's nemesis and America's favorite nerd,
really?
hashtag Mongo Nation.
Yes, that is me.
Wait a second. Can I ask you a question honestly?
Well, how were you rejected? Did you try to get a job at WFAN and Turner said, nah?
Mike Francesa is not exactly the biggest fan of mine.
Why?
Okay.
Well, what's gone on?
What's not to love, right?
I called him out on some of his lies. in my opinion, and he doesn't like that.
Did you call him out about Jose Altuve?
I wish I could, but I'd be on hold for 2 hours because that man despises me, and I know that.
Do you think he knows who you are?
Well, he doesn't know my Twitter, obviously, but Mons knows my Twitter. Ernie knows my Twitter.
No, but I mean, like, do you think, like, he knows, like, hey, Mike in New Haven now? It's Mike in New Haven.
Oh,
you think
yeah,
he knows?
He picked up my calls, and I can hear it in his voice. He sighs as if, why do I got to talk to this person?
That's funny.
Does he really get aggravated when you call, Mike?
Oh, he has, because, again, I've called him out on some of his stupidity.
I see.
All right. Well, I'm going to, next time, thank you for the call, Mike, by the way, and maybe I'll follow you. I'm not sure.
Mike, the LeBron jersey's in the mail for you.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
He'll wear it with joy.
I'm sure he will.
The next time I see Mike, I'm going to argue with Altuve. Actually, you've basically advised me I shouldn't argue with him.
No, but you know, I have learned. Let me tell you one thing I've learned now, okay? And in my advanced years, when I see Mike, it's hello, Mike. Hey, bro, okay, great. You know, I just move on.
Sometimes the arguments are fun, though, no?
I don't have time anymore. You know what? It doesn't matter to me anymore. You know what I mean?
I know what you
There might have been a time it actually might have mattered to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. What's the difference?
If I argue about Altuve, the second thing I'm going to bring up is I'm going to say, do you know who Mike in New Haven is? That'd be my question, just to see if he's like, oh, that guy, he's a terrible caller. I can't stand him. Or if he's like,
would say that.
No, I think he'd say, I have no idea who he is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he has no clue.
No offense to Mike in New Haven.
No,
I know who he is. I like him. He's all right.
I know. I just think he's got no clue who Mike in New Haven is. Really.
Going through his tweets right now to see if he's worth a follow. I'm analyzing it.
Was he what did he try to get into radio? I mean, what's the deal? That
I think
he's radio's greatest reject.
I think he meant like as a caller, like he feels rejected maybe by Mike or something. I don't know.
I see.
But what's funny is his opinion he just gave us about how this feels like 1998 all over again. He tweeted that a day ago.
Come on.
Now, but there's nothing wrong with that because like sometimes like if I'm watching a game, I have an opinion. I'll just tweet it out, and then I say it again the next day because I haven't said it on the radio yet. Like it came out of my head. Now I've tried to refrain from that because as Ernie has advised, you don't want to give it away the night before. It's like if you were on Twitter, and the Jets lost, and you did a tirade, that could people.
Stop wasting. It's a waste.